Hey friends, Christy here with Little Roots Ranch, and today we're going to talk about lettuce. I was just harvesting some beautiful lettuce, and I realized that I should do a video because in the Pacific Northwest it's been warm, and you might be noticing a little bit that your lettuce might be a little more bitter, or it might be exceptionally more bitter. And one thing I wanted to share is that that's on some level a little unavoidable when we have the heats, and especially with the heat wave that's coming. So here I've got a beautiful head of lettuce, but I wanted to show you something. So if we come close, and so I had cut this head, but if you take, say, like this branch and rip it off, or not branch, but this piece, you see this white stuff that appears right there? You can kind of see it. Or like if you tear more open, see all that white stuff? Actually, a better way, where are my scissors? Clippers. If I take this and cut the core, again, I just cut it, but if I cut it again, you'll see all that white stuff that's coming out of the side? So that's like latex, and that is what causes the bitter flavor. If I take some here and get it on my finger, see how it looks like milk or whatever? So that is what makes the lettuce taste bitter, because lettuce is a cool weather crop, and when we're growing it all throughout the summer, we're asking it to grow in an environment that isn't its favorite. But we want to have fresh salads. So the answer is, well, what do? One thing is you want to make sure that you are adequately watering. If you have a diverse garden area, like maybe a bed in some shade and a bed in full sun, in the early spring, you want to plant lettuce in your bed with full sun. And then when you get into middle of summer, a bed with a little bit of shade would be better for the lettuce. But even still, there's always going to be generally some level of bitterness with summer produced lettuce. And that's more true the older your plant is. So if you have a little seedling that's just starting out, the chances of that being bitter are going to be a lot lower. Whereas if you have an older plant that's been producing. But there is a trick that I can show you. It's not foolproof in every single situation. But for the most part, if you've been watering your lettuce pretty consistently and it hasn't been, too terribly hot, like you got to think about the rest of the world, or like the South and stuff, they're growing lettuce too. One trick is actually to take the lettuce and soak it. And as a home gardener, you want to get your lettuce into the refrigerator or into cold water within, like, as fast as you can after you harvest, and definitely within 30 minutes. The 30 minutes is more on like the farming side, where you're harvesting a lot of lettuce. But if you're running out in the morning or whenever, which also morning, best time to harvest as early as you can. But if you're running out in the morning and just grabbing like a couple heads of lettuce or a couple pieces or whatever for a salad, or in the evening or whatever, that's not too hard. But if you're growing on a larger scale, then you have to watch the timer a little bit. So I keep a bucket. I've got a shady area that's blocked by the house and some big trees. And I've got a big bucket that I keep water in, and I put all my lettuce in there. Actually, I'll take you and show you. But what I'm gonna do with my lettuce, and I do this all summer long, well, I do it all year round just to kind of soak it and make sure, I don't use chemicals, so, there might be a slug in there or something like that. And so I soak it and cool off. They call it the field heat, but you want to take the field heat off of anything. And I pretty much soak almost everything I harvest. But soaking it in cold water is going to be, or putting it in the fridge if you don't want to have that, because you do need a salad spinner. You don't want it to be too wet when you're putting it up to store. But that's one way to take out the bitterness. Again, if you've got an older lettuce plant, sometimes there's not much you can do, but this is a really good trick. So let me take you over to my fancy plastic bin. One moment. Okay, so here we're at my temporary wash station. It's not the best, but I'm building a covered area near the walk-in, and so this is in shade all day, so it's perfect for me. I've got my lettuce spinner behind me, so I take my lettuce, which is really beautiful, and I literally just dump it into the water. And of course, you know, I do this several times, and then I make sure and push it in and kind of give it a little shake. And I do go through a couple different rinse cycles. I'll set up, like this is just to get it in and get it getting cold or whatever. But this soaking in will shock, because when it's hot out, the leaves draw that latex up. But then when it's cold, like in water from my well, which is really cold, then it puts it out into the water, which is amazing because I don't want it into the lettuce. So then I'll do this a couple more times, and that way it draws out the latex that makes it bitter. So it's a really easy trick, and it'll make your lettuce taste better. Ultimately though, if you're not watering your lettuce like you should, and you're not picking in the morning, and it's an older plant, sometimes you may not be able to get around it. You might just need to use a little bit of extra dressing. But happy lettuce growing and happy gardening, and thank you for watching. Bye.